call to order the January 23rd meeting of the Cary Town Council. And at this time, I'll recognize Councilmember Bonsall for the ceremonial opening.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sure weather is on everybody's mind, but I want to give some credit to some town staff members that have been working very, very hard to keep all of us safe. I want to express my deep gratitude to our incredible staff for their tireless efforts during the recent winter storm. In under 2 days, our team brined an impressive 400 miles of streets using 40,000 gallons of brine, ensuring safer travel for our citizens. With 55 plows and 29 spreaders, they worked around the clock, supported by nearly 300 dedicated team members staffing Snow Command, with roughly 150 individuals per 12-hour shift. Thanks to this preparation and hard work, our public safety team responded to just 4 weather-related crashes, none involving injuries, and assisted 7 motorists during the storm's peak. Our 311 team didn't miss a beat, serving nearly 400 citizens via phone, email, social media, and the web portal, even with our physical facilities closed. Social media engagement highlighted the community's joy with over 200 photos of snow fun submitted and over 50,000 impressions on snow-related posts. Our staff's dedication, professionalism, and care for the community, led by our fearless Fire Chief Mike Cooper, were on full display. And I couldn't be prouder of their efforts during this event. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And with that, please join me in Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Bonsall, for that opening, and I would like a copy so I could blog that. So
Sure.
that was awesome.
That was wonderful.
First order of business is to adopt the agenda. I would entertain a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have no recognitions, reports, and presentations, so we'll move right to Public Speaks Out. We've included instructions for speaking on this forum online and on the printed agenda. There were 3 opportunities to participate in Public Speaks Out: through written comments, calling in, or by being here in person tonight. And if you are here in person tonight and would like to speak, I would ask that you take a seat in the rows to my right that are highlighted. Public Speaks Out speakers have 3 minutes each for their comments and may speak on any town-related topic as long as it's not a public hearing. And that's to your benefit because you'll get more time at a public hearing when you're speaking at a public hearing. There's a 3-minute time limit on Public Speaks Out, and it will be enforced, not to be rude, but to be fair to all of our speakers. To help you keep track of time, there's a timer on the podium. It'll start with a green light, followed by a yellow light, reminding you that you have 30 seconds remaining. And when it's flashing red, that means your time has expired, and that'll be the point I interrupt you. Again, not to be rude, but to be fair to all of our speakers. I would ask that all speakers be respectful in their comments and direct their comments to the entire council and to not to an individual. I thank everyone in the audience for understanding and respecting that this is a business meeting. Please do not applaud, make remarks from your seats, use props, or do anything else that may distract from the meeting. So now is the time for Public Speaks Out. And first, I'll call on our clerk to read any written comments and call on any registered speakers.
We had 1 written comment and no registered speakers. A written comment was from Deborah Craig from Lock Ridge Cluster, expressed frustration over the prolonged noise caused by landscaping companies using loud leaf blowers hired by the HOA. She said the noise typically starts at 8:30 a.m. on Thursday and lasts for 3 hours. She suggested the town of Cary consider limiting the consecutive hours the leaf blower use, as even 1 hour of consistent noise is too much, and any regulation to address the issue would be appreciated. This case has been passed along to staff for them to respond. No registered speakers.
Okay. If you are here tonight and would like to speak at Public Speaks Out, this is your opportunity. Anyone to speak at Public Speaks Out? So no one will close Public Speaks Out and move to our next item, which is the consent agenda. For the benefit of people watching our meeting on TV, I'll take a moment to review the consent agenda items. Please keep in mind that one vote approves all of these items. On the consent agenda, we have the 22 REZ01 Augusta rezoning and statement of consistency, 22A01 Augusta at 4000 Green Level West Road, 24 REZ03 Wellington Park PDD amendment and statement of consistency, 23A04 Courtyards at White Oak, 23 REZ03 Courtyards at White Oak and statement of consistency. And I have heard from Councilmember Smith that he would like to pull 24 REZ03 Wellington Park PDD amendment and statement of consistency. Would council members like any other items pulled from the consent agenda for discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the amended consent agenda.
So moved.
There's a motion.
Second.
And a second. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We now move to public hearings. Same rules apply for public hearings that apply for Public Speaks Out, with one exception. Speakers now have 5 minutes each for their comments. Our first public hearing is on Act 35 Land Development Ordinance Amendments. Assistant Town Manager Scott Berry will introduce the item, followed by a presentation from Principal Planning Director Rachel Smith. Afterwards, this item will be referred to the Planning and Zoning Board for their recommendation and will return to council at a future date. Mr. Berry.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we have two main objectives. First, I'm here to update you on recent changes in state legislation and how these changes impact our local authority over zoning decisions. Second, Rachel will be proposing a technical amendment to the Land Development Ordinance to allow pools in certain districts in downtown Cary. This proposed change aligns with our ongoing efforts to update and maintain the LDO. As you may know, a new state law was recently passed with the primary aim of supporting disaster recovery in Western North Carolina. This bill, SB 382, also included a provision that limits local government's ability to amend zoning ordinances. Specifically, the law addressed the concept called downzoning. This term refers to actions that would decrease development density, reduce permitted uses, or create non-conforming structures. Under this law, local governments are now prohibited from initiating downzoning unless they first obtain written consent from each affected property owner. While this new law poses challenges to larger changes in the LDO, smaller technical amendments to the LDO, like the one that Rachel's going to be presenting tonight, still remain within our authority. There have been ongoing discussions to better understand the long-term impact of this legislation, and there is hope that future amendments or clarifications could restore some flexibility for what we can achieve. Lisa and I can answer questions you may have about this legislation, and now I'll hand it over to Rachel Smith, who will discuss the Act Amendment. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For your consideration is Act 35, a proposed amendment to the Land Development Ordinance. The amendment is technical and minor in nature, providing a cleanup function rather than addressing a major policy or plan initiative. The proposed LDO amendment adds swimming pool, hot tub, and spa as a permitted accessory use in the Town Center Cottage Business and Residential District. The Town Center District and its 15 in the adoption of the LDO in 2003 to implement the recommendation of the 2001 Town Center Area Plan for the downtown. The CB&R subdistrict was applied to residential lots along sections of Chapel Hill Road, South Harrison Avenue, Faculty Avenue, Dry Avenue, West Park Street, and South Walker Street. The CB&R subdistrict includes 80 properties, summing to approximately 40 acres. The intent is to retain the residential character and appearance of the area while allowing additional uses since these lots front along busier thoroughfares. For example, a house might be converted to a small office, such as insurance offices, or to low-impact commercial or personal service uses, such as photography studios. The CB&R subdistrict permits retail stores and personal service uses, and some, but not all, residential, office, and public and institutional uses. This amendment resulted from a request to build a swimming pool behind an existing detached dwelling, Zone CB&R. The 15 TC subdistricts include residential, commercial, office, institutional, parks, and mixed-use subdistricts. 8 of the subdistricts permit pools as an accessory use. These 8 are generally the TC subdistricts that permit residential uses or a mix of uses. The CB&R subdistrict is a mixed-use district which permits residential uses and is the only mixed-use district that does not permit pools. After conducting research, staff found no record as to why swimming pools were not included as an accessory use in the CB&R subdistrict at the time of adoption of the LDO in 2003. There is one known non-conforming pool in the TC CB&R subdistrict at 413 South Harrison Avenue. The amendment, if approved, would make the pool a conforming use. The entirety of the TC area contains approximately 18 pools across all 15 subdistricts. LDO pool regulations include 5-foot setbacks from the rear and side yards for pools and pool equipment, and standards for gates and enclosures. Many of the LDO requirements mirror the requirements in the North Carolina Building Code, such as requiring enclosures to be a minimum of 4 feet in height. However, the building code includes additional safety standards and specifications for stairs, barrier fences, gates, release mechanisms, and alarms, as well as inspection requirements. We also have residential noise ordinances, and while there are some exceptions for things like lawnmowers, the upper limit is 60 decibels. This is regulated by the police department. In terms of the Cary Community Plan, the CB&R zoned properties are all within the downtown special planning area. The impact of this technical amendment is relatively minimal, given there are only 80 affected properties, and as the majority of the CB&R zone properties remain improved with detached dwellings. If approved, we may see additional permitting activity for residential pools, hot tubs, or spas. It is possible that additional investment in the residential development pattern may delay the conversions of homes to cottage-style businesses. However, future conversions may still occur if a home has an accessory pool. Notice of the public hearing was mailed to all CB&R property owners and adjacent properties within 100 feet. Staff received 3 emails in response, one asking about the zoning of a property, and another asking which property desired a pool. A third email, which was also followed up with a phone call, cited concerns about the noise associated with pool mechanical equipment. This concludes my presentation. Following the public hearing, staff will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. So now is the time for the public hearing for Act 35 Land Development Ordinances. And once again, I'll call on the clerk for any written comments and any registered speakers.
We had one written comment and one registered speaker. Ryan Dangle submitted comments that supported the proposed land development ordinance amendment as permitted accessory uses in the TC, CB, and R district. This amendment aligns with the area's evolution towards residential use, given its walkability and family-friendly amenities. The changes support the residential character of the downtown area while maintaining zoning flexibility. Approving this amendment will enhance the appeal of the CB and R district and the broader town center area. Our first registered speaker is Andy Galbert.
Good evening. My name is Andy Gelbert, and we live at 417 Page Street in Cary. Thank you for the opportunity to come out this evening and speak about the proposed amendment. We have some fairly minor concerns that we've recently experienced related to installation and the noise levels associated with the pumps and the heaters that support pools and spas when they're in very close proximity to a dense built environment. We've resided in downtown Cary for 23 years, and we back up to the cottage business district that we're discussing this evening. Since this cottage business district does allow a very dense coverage of land, and the buildings can be built very close to the property lines, and we continue to increase density in the downtown area, built structures, we've found that the noise from these pool pumps and heaters begins to reverberate between the properties walls of the buildings. And we've experienced this personally because we have a home next to us that put a pool in, and those pumps are sitting literally about 15 feet from our bedroom windows after they were installed. The noise levels the pumps are running 24 hours a day. I know I have made some phone calls and talked with others about how these pumps normally operate. Some of the pools, the older ones, the pumps did not run 24 hours a day. The new ones do. They do ramp up and down on a regular basis, and we've actually taken sound readings with the decibel meter at the property line just to confirm that we are at least between the 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. hours, we're well above the 50 decibel mark. It teeters right at the acceptable level during the normal daytime hours, but that really is not as much of a concern. I think one of the disconnects that we see is that the sound ordinance is as mentioned earlier, is implemented or managed by the police department. We feel like this is more of a building inspections issue and more of a ordinance related issue, and it's not tied directly to the requirements for a pool or a hot tub. It's tied, the sound ordinance are tied more to activities that are, I would call them more one-off, you know, if people have a party or gathering, for example, at a residence. I would like to request that the council take into consideration either a change that would require the homeowner or pool installers to put in place sound mitigation measures, whether it's an enclosure around those items or they're somehow screened in a way that actually does contain that noise level and bring it down to a lower level. I think that this is not a consideration just for the downtown Cary district where the properties are closer together. I think this is probably a wider consideration for the town and Cary in general, because as the town begins to densify in a number of areas, I think this is probably going to come up over and over again. Thank you for your time and consideration this evening, and please feel free to reach out to me if there are additional questions.
Thank you. Excuse me. Anyone else to speak at this public hearing? Could I get you to move to your left, please? Thank you.
Good evening, Town Council and Mayor. So I'm Ryan Daigle. I sent in the remarks earlier in support of the amendment and to lay all the cards on the table. I do have a property on Harrison Avenue, which we do hope to someday have a pool. So I've already expressed my support at a very high level, and what Rachel did such a great job summarizing why I think it is consistent with the character of Cary. Andy, I look forward to being your neighbor in the future, and also want to speak to the sound concerns. Completely understandable that we want to make sure that we're not creating undue disturbances. So I looked up modern pool equipment. They say they operate around 50 decibels. I have no reason to doubt that Andy's measurements are much closer to the truth. He says that they're kind of getting up towards where those boundaries are currently set in the ordinances. So certainly we personally have every indication of making sure that the sound stays within the current ordinances, and this text change does not, as was mentioned, doesn't make any modifications to those sound ordinances. So we definitely will be staying within that and hope to exceed that, at least to the downside for neighbor-to-neighbor relations, certainly. So we have a personal commitment to work closely with our neighbors to make that happen, and there's certainly nothing in the text change itself that seems to indicate it would violate the current intentions of the council as far as sound and whatnot. So it doesn't feel to me like this is a change that would warrant any additional consideration. So thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Next speaker for this public hearing? Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. It'll next go to the Planning and Zoning Board for their review and recommendation. I do have a question for staff, so that the argument about the noise ordinance and our current ordinances related to pumps and such was a legitimate argument, and I would like more information, honestly. I don't know what technology out there is available, and I don't want to put a burden on either side, but the argument was solid to me. I do think it's not related to the LDO amendment, but it is something we should definitely address if we can. So, other comments?
Agree. Did you want to go? No, the only discussion point that I want to make is that it looks like this was a technical fix. Because you mentioned one of the non-conforming pools. Did that non-conforming pool come in after CBR was identified?
Yes, the pool was permitted in 2017. It first came in 2011, and so the CBNR has existed since the LDO, which preceded that.
So we made a mistake and missed that one and not perform. I just wanted us to be totally transparent.
Just to clarify, it was a pool that was unpermitted, so they built it without contacting the town.
Okay, that is not what you just
That's correct. Yeah, it was built without, it was ultimately permitted after the
Years
fact.
after.
Yeah, Lisa is correct.
But yeah, it was originally built without contacting the town.
Okay. And then, but now it is permitted.
It's passed inspections.
Passed
It is not a permitted use, but it has passed inspections.
Past inspections, okay. I just want to be clear, does that, if this moves forward, it will become a conforming use? And is there any work that has to be done on behalf of the town to bring that in, or just automatically? If not, what happens?
The pool stays as a non-conforming use.
Okay? And as one of the points I wanted to make was, as density increases and houses are closer and closer to each other, and I did a little bit of research and absolutely agree with both speakers, it looks like pools go anywhere from 45 decibels to 90 decibels, which I know that I wouldn't want that within 15 feet of my home. I would love it if staff could come back, and I sent an email already to Scott Berry, to do some research on what we could see, what are the possibilities that we could add in an ordinance for soundproofing, because we could potentially stop some future problems, pitting neighbors against neighbors when that's never our intent to do. So that would be helpful. On the other hand, I agree with you, Mr. Mayor, that doesn't necessarily have to do with this particular act, but it's something that we should absolutely look for.
I want to take a quick opportunity to also agree with the mayor. Sean is not going to be surprised to hear me chime in on the cacophony that has become downtown. Longtime downtown resident, also contributing to the noise. I got to say, I probably am contributing. I'd like to ask a point of clarification, though. The decibel limits we talk about frequently, is there, I know, for certain areas, there are like, you can only do construction during certain hours and certain days and such. Is there a limitation for those decibels, PM versus AM?
It depends on the type of sound, and
Type of it.
we can get you more information, but generally unamplified sound adjacent to a residential structure, the limit is 60 decibels day and night.
Damn, you're good. I was prepared. You were definitely prepared, as always. And I would suggest that would be the place perhaps where we can effectively address the noise, at the very least, evening, right, nighttime. If we can't, I don't know that we're going to be able to, perhaps we can find some solutions. What do I know about construction in general and noise proofing, but at least evening, when someone lies down in bed at night, they're not, hearing that hum of stuff, whether it's a pool or, whatever the next thing could be. So that's something I'd be really interested in hearing
Yeah, 50
Perfect.
decibels is loud in itself, right?
all night long.
All night long. So there must be other municipalities or other types of ordinances that should allow us to do something that's more amenable to neighbors.
One point, and Lisa can add further emphasis if she'd likes, but including any potential changes or existing ordinances that are based on decibel limits for all communities are problematic. It's a very, very imperfect science, depending upon how the wind is blowing. There's so many factors, so I think just having the emphasis be on what types of enclosures. But as far as, because the decibel requirement doesn't change, whether we would do that or not, but it certainly gives more comfort to that.
And we have been looking at the noise ordinance for a while and looking what other cities are doing and trying to figure out if there is a better way, and it's complicated. But we are continuing to look at it.
Does the new state law prohibit us in changing our LDO to accommodate something like this? Is that considered a down zoning? If we say, oh, you have a pool, but you could always build a pool, but now you have to be more careful about how loud it is and blah, blah, blah.
I don't think so. I think we can
Okay.
still regulate noise and effects like that.
Okay.
Great question.
Any other comments?
No, it's a good question.
This will next go to the Planning and Zoning Board. They usually get it about a month or two after we see the public hearing, and then it's another month or two or more after that before we see it again and vote on it. So thank you.
Thank you.
We now move to discussion items, and our first discussion item is the Act 34 Imagine Cary Community Plan 2024 update, and Miss Cassie Schumacher-Georgopoulos will give this report, including our Planning Board's recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor Weinbreck and council members. Tomorrow, January 24th, marks the 8th anniversary of the Imagine Cary Community Plan's adoption. It is, yes.
Applause.
Imagine Cary is Cary's comprehensive plan. It was built on the values, needs, and aspirations of our citizens to set the long-term vision for Cary and a course for achieving our desired future. Since its adoption in 2017, the Imagine Cary Community Plan has become our reference in all that we do, from providing high-quality public services, capital planning, financial management, and to protecting nature and the environment and managing future land use. The citizen and community leaders who worked so hard to create Imagine Cary knew that periodic updates would be needed. Tonight, we are here to complete the final step for the Comprehensive Plan Amendment and adopt this update to Imagine Cary. This update of Imagine Cary builds upon the strong foundations established in 2017 while incorporating new insights and addressing contemporary challenges. This update has been in the works for several years and is a testament to the importance of Imagine Cary's vision for our future. The plan will remain the same with some additions, and the update is focused on integrating plans and initiatives already approved by council and does not propose changing the way we do things today. The update includes a preface that captures our accomplishments and implementation of the plan since 2017, an update to the Live chapter, which includes the council-adopted Cary Housing Plan, adding a new Enrich chapter focused on consolidating Cary's environmental policies and climate action initiatives, and updates to the Serve chapter, acknowledging our evolving community services.
The update was developed using stakeholder input from several planning initiatives. And throughout the update process, staff repeatedly engaged Cary's boards and commissions to receive their input. The draft has been available to the public for review and input since early 2024, and staff has also presented the draft to the council at your July 25th work session. The public hearing on the draft was held on October 22nd. At the public hearing, citizens raised concerns about clear cutting in new developments and requested a more defined approach to urban forest preservation. They noted that language from the 2017 Imagine Cary Community Plan was missing from the update, and policies in Enrich and the Urban Forest Master Plan lacked specific goals. At the public hearing, council had no questions for staff. Leading up to the Planning and Zoning Board meeting on November 18th, the board received emails from citizens requesting to strengthen the Enrich chapter and align the update with the plan's original policies. Citizens recommended clearer expectations, stronger language for policy enforcement, and incentives for private landowners to address growth and environmental impacts in Cary. Based on citizen feedback and re-review of the policies, we proposed adding additional text to Enrich Policy 8, Preserve and Protect the Urban Tree Canopy, as noted in your staff report. The language that was removed from 2017 was added back, and more detail has been added on how to achieve the policy. At the Planning and Zoning Board meeting, board members asked several questions regarding the sustainability and climate action strategy, whether the vote on the 2024 bonds has any impact on this update, and when a major update to the Imagine Cary Community Plan may be considered. Staff replied that the bond vote did not impact the incorporation of the Cary Housing Plan into Imagine Cary, and that future updates will continue to occur as other plans are approved and chapters need to be updated. Board members also expressed appreciation for the process, the public engagement for each of the plans, and the revision to the Enrich Policy 8 based on citizen feedback. The Planning and Zoning Board voted unanimously to recommend the update and comprehensive plan amendment to the council. So I'd like to conclude tonight with a reminder that this is a comprehensive plan amendment, and we are here tonight for council to take final action to adopt the amendment. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Cassie Schumacher-Georgopoulos. Questions for staff? Comments from council or motions, if we're ready for that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the comprehensive plan amendment for the Imagine Cary.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We now move to our last discussion item. It's 24REZ03, which is the Wellington Park PDD amendment, which was pulled from the consent agenda for discussion. And at this time, I'll recognize Councilmember Smith for his comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Normally, we don't do this, and I don't do this, but I felt like with the history of this project, there's a lot of history, and it's gone through several iterations. The last one for a dental office there, and after that was denied, I think the hope was that it would be a daycare, and that fell apart. So what's happened since then is another investor came forward to buy the property and has put together a series of conditions that bring us here today. Now, I think this is one of those classic examples that if we were ever trying to pursue perfect, we're never going to get there. I was a little surprised that the last one didn't get through because there's not a lot of traffic, not a lot of what I would consider conflict with that area. It looked like a perfect area right next to Marla Durrell Park. And my concern about this one is this had the opportunity to be a possible growth for us from Marla Durrell Park. That didn't happen. I just felt like the inference that this is well-received and everybody just loves it, they don't. But I think most people recognize that we're doing the best we can, trying to work with the community. And so I just felt it merited its own vote. That's all. I don't feel strongly for it, against it. My personal opinion, I put aside. I'm trying to listen to the constituents over there that I work for. But I just felt like it ought to be pulled, and anybody that had any other concerns, I'm open for that motion. I just wanted it to come forward and make sure that it got kind of that full exposure to our community and it wasn't buried in a consent agenda. That was it.
Appreciate that, Mr. Smith. You and I both live less than a mile from there. And I don't know about you, but I have several friends that live in Wellington and have for many, many years. Like you said, this is a property that you can't get perfect on. And my concern, as we keep reviewing and if we keep denying, is that the property values continue to go up. And so the pressure to have something more dense that you can develop the property goes up. And the property will develop one day because it's developable property. So being next to or near something like that, I think you ought to look for the best use of the land, which is basically our decision always in a rezoning. What is the best possible use of the land? And where we are in the timeline now, I think this proposal is a very good one. Townhomes do not generate that much traffic and will not cause that much problems next to the Wellington Shopping Center. And believe me, I drive by the Wellington Shopping Center 10 times a day or more. So I'm aware of the traffic and the issues with the Wellington Shopping Center, but I don't see any impact at all. And that's just from my personal observation. No scientific data or anything to back that up, but that's basically what I observe. And I'll open it up to my colleagues if they have any questions or concerns.
I think that the homeowners and the surrounding community and the landowner actually, I mean, I hate to say it so vernacular, but did the group a solid, right? They said they didn't want a daycare. They found a way to make it not a daycare. The majority of them got behind it. So, I mean, if we're going to align with what the majority wants, they all lined up and made it happen. You have to give them credit.
I think they wanted the daycare.
They wanted a daycare.
They couldn't
Sorry,
make the
I'm
parking.
sorry, I meant to say dentist,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
They wanted a daycare, but a daycare is not possible.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Yep.
But
But
yeah,
they did work at looking at something that they felt.
They did, but they found that
No, I
daycare wasn't
understand that. I
possible.
respect
Yeah,
that.
sorry, I used daycare instead of
No,
dentist.
we think we know what you're talking about.
So
Yeah.
I'm impressed with the, you know, sometimes we say citizens, you know, will come to us and complain, but this group of citizens said, this is not what we want, and then they went out and found what they wanted and made it happen. So I have to give them a lot of credit.
Any other comments?
Mayor, I just want to say one thing. I have spoken to a few people about this, and everybody seemed to be in favor. And last time when this was presented to council, I see that there was a lot of support. This is the first time I'm hearing that someone has issues with this, so I have to echo the same sentiments as Councilwoman Bush, that, you know, and Councilman here, that, you know, we have to go with majority in this case. Sounds like this is a difficult site.
Well, I think we live in a world where, especially now, exaggerations seem to be part of the discussion at all levels. And it was important to me to at least share with you that this is not universally loved over there. There are people, but that's okay. I mean, that's why we have dialogue, that's why we have discussion. But the inference that, you know, this is the best thing since sliced cake or something like, it's not. But they did work together. They did work together as a community. They put it together. I think this is one where, you know, for a lot of people, they look at this where we're going to be holding our nose a little bit when we vote. But it does have merit. It does. It's smaller housing, affordable housing. There's a lot of, you know, there's some new things that's kind of be interesting to see how it works here with the back entrances and all of that. So again, my feeling was that there was enough interest in this over the years and enough differing points of view that I just felt it merited not just being on consent. I don't like to do that when we have that unanimity with P and Z and all that. I respect that, but I just felt like this one merited having that discussion for the sake of that community. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Would you like to make a motion, or would anyone like to make a motion?
I don't want to make a motion.
Well, since I made a comment, I'll make a motion that we approve Wellington Park PDD Amendment rezoning 24 REZ 03.
Second.
There's a motion
Did
and
you
a...
need
And
a
also the
consistency
statement of
and-
consistency for 24 REZ03.
Along with the statement of consistency, is it officially in here somewhere? And I didn't get it.
Yeah, it's on this one.
Statement of consistency for 24 REZ 03 and the rezoning ordinance for 24 REZ 03.
Ms. Collins Johnson, are you okay
I'll
with that?
second
motion?
that. Yep.
All right.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And that concludes our discussion items. We now need to go into closed session, and I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So pursuant to GS 143-318, 1A, 1, and 3, I move that we hold a closed session to consult with attorneys employed or retained by the town in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the town, and among other things, council expects to receive advice concerning the following lawsuit, Delettre versus the town of Cary, and to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of the state and not considered a public record, and the meaning of Chapter 132 of the general statutes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and council will go into closed session. We'll reconvene the council meeting. We have no other business this evening. I declare the meeting adjourned.